Good morning, Atul. Thank you very much. You're setting the tone already.
Hey everyone, hi. This is how I look on a Saturday morning.
This is how everybody looks on a Saturday morning. Don't bring that up, Atul. Let everybody
Good
come
morning,
in the
sir.
way. That said, Anuj, Raju, Anand, Atul, thank you very much for turning on your videos. Rest of you, like I said, today's call, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to set the tone so that we can complete with the timeline that we have. The introduction, the clarification, and the FOQ all in 90 minutes. And what we're going to be needing in this case right now is all questions will be answered towards the very end. I will be moderating the session to as much as I can and as much as I know the kind of questions that my audience will have. But any questions that you'll categorically have, please take a look at the slide, make a note, and keep that question parked till the end so that we save that extra 15-20 minutes that goes in back and forth when we are saying, okay, we'll cover that a little later, right? So Q&A towards the end. I'm going to allow Upendra, who is Director of Sales for Assetmonk. He's so Upendra, would you like to say a hi, quick one? Okay.
Hi everyone. Good morning.
Right. So he's going to be walking us through everything that Assetmonk has to offer and anything and everything there is to know from whether this is a good fit for us and what are the pros, cons. And yes, as always, I'll be playing devil's advocate as well. So we have a more meaningful understanding of this asset class. So with that said, Upendra, I think we're at 11:04. Let's begin right away. I've given you share access. So yeah, the stage is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Let me give you a warm welcome to this session where we talk of alternative investments. Now, earlier, if you go one generation, it could be our parents, it could be our forefathers, whoever it is. People basically saved. They didn't invest. They basically saved. One, it could be in say they bought, they invested in an FD. They bought gold, kept it aside. Some properties here and there, and things like that. Today, people have evolved and they have moved further from saving to investing. And when we talk of investment, unfortunately, people compare it with rocket science. Being using too many jargons, trying to make it look as sophisticated as possible, trying to make it as confusing as very difficult as possible. But the whole idea of Assetmonk basically is to make this concept of investing very pleasurable experience. So if you look at my mission statement, basically it is to make your effort of investing an enjoyable process. See, getting the returns, everything is fine, and that's the reason why we invest. But then what is the process of investing? Is it easy? Is it simple? Is it pleasurable? Is it a pain point? All those things is what we tried to do when Assetmonk came into play. And obviously we tried to come out with innovative products, first of a kind product, which possibly you might not have experienced, or even if you have experienced, we believe that the experience what you get on our platform, on our product, is something what is totally different from what you already have experienced. But before we talk about the product, before we talk about whatever we do, where I take you through, let me take you through the genesis of Assetmonk per se. Now, the journey of Assetmonk basically started in the year 2019, late 2019, around September, Octoberish, where a bunch of people will come who they are, came out and then discuss what basically needs to be done, and what kind of product need to be taken on board. And early 2020, say Feb 2020, two teams of mine, one team went to the US, one team went to Singapore to talk to clients, to do a lot of events and roadshows. We did a lot of roadshows in Singapore as well as the US, try to understand what do clients want, what do clients expect when they talk of investments per se. And when we came back by end of February, the whole world as we know today changed for us as well as for you and for all our family, through something called lockdown. Now, we all know during lockdown, many large businesses became medium-sized businesses, medium-sized businesses became small businesses, and many small businesses actually shut shop. During that time is when Assetmonk started, and basically we hit a brick wall as soon as we started. But fortunately, since the concept is something which was innovative, the platform was something which was totally different. The kind of products, what we were talking was totally different. A lot of clients actually liked, and since we are a digital platform, it was much more easy for people to accept us. A lot of clients actually accepted what we're doing, liked what we're doing, and cherished what we're doing. And because of that, as we speak today, I manage more than 155 crores of people's money or people's trust in me. 155 crores in the last 2.5 years, considering lockdowns and a whole host of stuff. As we speak, I have clients from more than 15 different geographies. The slide where, the countries or the geographies where, it is highlighted, those are the places from where, my clients invest with me. To name a few, it could be US, Canada, Middle East, Singapore, and whole host of countries where, we deal with our clients. Now, what is more important is, for all these clients who've been with us for the last 2.5 years, we've managed to give them an incredible 19.5% kind of an IRR for their investment. The interest, the returns look great, but what's more important is that the payout, what we assured our clients that the returns they will make on a quarterly basis, yearly basis, depending on the product, they got it on time. 100% payout is something what we boast about ourselves. And what this has led to, this has led to a 30% sale. Today, as we speak, 30% of my sale comes from repeat investment, as in existing customers investing again and again. Just to give you an example, 2020, when my team went, we spoke about my team going to the US and Singapore. There are clients who started with as low as 10 lakh rupees at that time, in 2020. And today, as we speak, one of the clients in the US from 10 lakhs has progressed to 5.5 crores with in our company. And a client in Singapore basically has invested between 3.2 to 3.3 crores as we speak today. And as we speak today, my team is again in Singapore. They're doing some road shows and things like that. And they'll be back in next 10 days or so. So the point I'm trying to make is, one, we have had 100% payout. We have had 30% repeat investors, which shows the kind of confidence what the clients have shown in us. It is also because of the platform, which is very easy to use, which is easy to invest, easy to track, and easy to get money at the end of the term. Right. So these are the things what we have given to our clients over the last 2.5 years. Obviously, that's the reason why we have earned a trust of managing 155 plus kind of crores for our investors. Now, before we go into investing, it is important to understand, where do people in India invest? Now, if you look at the slide over here, 48% of household income goes towards investing in properties. When I say properties, it could be plots, it could be a residential house, it could be apartments, it could be XYZ, it could be agricultural land, it could be XYZ. 48% of the 100 rupees goes towards investing in properties. 17% goes towards gold. For ladies who are on the call over here, I'm sure you would agree, probably 17% is lesser. But then for gentlemen who are on the call, you would also agree that 17% is a bit more higher, buying jewelry for our beloveds, right? So, but 17% is something which is there as, stored as gold. And you'll be shocked to know 16% of the money goes towards FDs. Now, just to give you number as perspective, this 16% is valued as 130 lakh crores as per RBI's current estimates. 130 lakh crores is 16% of the FDs currently in India. So if you're talking of 48%, we are talking of 400 lakh crores being invested in properties, right? So that's the kind of scale what we're talking about. Globally, if you want to talk about, real estate basically is the largest asset class. $290 trillion of money has gone, is the market cap of the industry of real estate, where the GDP of the whole world, as we know, is just 80 trillion, right? So all the GDP of all the countries put together is 80 trillion. 3 times or 4 times of that is the market capitalization of real estate alone. Equity and debt together is around 170, 180 trillion dollars. Right? Out of that 170, 180 trillion dollars, debt itself will be around 105 to 110 trillion dollars. Debt is a huge business across the globe. That's how large is what this asset class is, what I'm talking about. But when I talk of real estate as an asset class, people do think of investing in, say, buying an apartment. It could be buying, investing in a house and things like that, buying it and giving it on rent. Unfortunately, what happens is, when you buy a property, a house or an apartment and give it on rent, the rental yield, say the house value is 1 crore and you give it for rent and you get around, say, 15 to 18,000 rupees. Basically, you made 1.8 lakhs to 2 lakh rupees per annum as rent. Now, 1 crore invested, you make 2 lakh rupees. The rental yield works out to 2%. And 2% is something what I'm talking on a higher side. You really need to be lucky to get a rental yield between 2 to 2.25%. Typically, it is between 1.5 to 1.75%. Again, based on area, city, XYZ, and all those. But there are options available in real estate which gives you 8 to 10% kind of a rental yield. The 2% what you get in residential real estate, there are options available to where you get 8 to 10% kind of a real estate, which is 2 to 3 times the returns what you get by through rental income. But and obviously there is a capital appreciation, what we talk of 5 to 7% overall return, yielding between 15 to 18% kind of a return. But, and when I say commercial real estate, we talk of things which are there on your slide. It could be office spaces, it could be warehouse, retail spaces, data center, hospitality, etc. But it is also important to understand why people don't invest in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate comes with its own set of problems. And we, all of us as investors, have our own set of problems back at home and back at work. We don't want to add more problems. Let's try and understand few of the problems which are there in commercial real estate. The first and the foremost is a large investment amount is required. Say for people who are working in a corporate today, say if you work for a Google or a Microsoft or something, now, and that property is tenanted, which means Microsoft pays X amount of rent to the owner of the building. To own that building, you would need 20 crores, 50 crores, 100 crores, things like that, which not many people can actually afford to invest that kind of money, right? Even though the returns are good, the amount required to invest to get that kind of return is very, very high, right? The second is inaccessibility. Typically, if you look at, talk to people who are investing in properties, say a person who is in Bangalore, say he is a localite over here, all his properties, what he has bought, the house could be, it could be an apartment or whatever he has bought, is in Bangalore itself. It does not go into any other city. And that is where the whole problem comes. Because if you see, real estate as a sector in the last couple of years has grown between 4 to 7%, in different cities. But if you take Hyderabad alone, barring the last 6 months, the last 2 years return has been plus 192%, right? So people who invested in Bangalore made 4 to 7%, but then the same person in, a different person investing in same asset class in a different city made 192%, right? So that is inaccessibility. That inaccessibility come because of lack of contacts, or it could be lack, someone fearing investing in a different city. The reasons are 100, but then that opportunity is lost, and that is one more important thing. The third thing is, now let's assume that you have a commercial real estate. Now, how do you make money out of it? When you give it on rent. Now, who are the people who go on rent? Those are predominantly large corporates. Now, the way you deal with a large corporate is totally different from the way you deal with, a tenant in your house. If you don't like the tenant, you can ask him, you can give him a 1 month's notice or whatever, then put a to-let board outside, and then, 1 or 2 websites that, this is my house available. And in 1 or 2 months, you get your tenant. But it is not that easy when it comes to a corporate setup, right? So there are various things available, including, where your house is, how do people travel to that place, XYZ, there are, various reasons as to why a certain corporate is in a particular region. Now, people do not either have the time or the knowledge or the expertise to deal with these kind of corporates, right? So that again is an issue in owning a commercial real estate. The other one, which is important, is liquidity concerns. Say tomorrow I bought on, let's assume I have the 50 crores to buy, but then tomorrow after 5 years, 8 years, I want to sell. Who do I sell it to? Where do I sell it to? And at what rate do I sell it to? Right? Because you go to a real estate guy, every shop guy, every real estate broker gives you a different value to a different, to the same property. So what is the correct value is something what people don't understand, right? And that's where we do things right. Right.
I'm sorry to interject, Upendra. Quick one. See, we have a total time of 90 minutes, and that should also be kept in mind for Q&A. So let's breeze through some of the common points, and then let's address the ones that are product specific as against the theory, because bulk of them, a good, let me see the list. Yeah, a good 60% of them have already invested in fractionals, but through various other platforms. So how are they different? Those are things that we like to take more emphasis on.
Perfect. Sorry. So, thanks. Right. So continuing. So when it comes to due diligence, we have a 80-point checklist. Now, what is this due diligence and why is it important? We will come to it in the further slides. Convenience. Obviously, everyone gets a dashboard where basically you can track what your investments are doing. What are the returns? What are the updates for the real estates on a real-time basis? Plus, download all the tax certificates, all the the receipts of rental income, what you're getting on a monthly basis. Basically, the point is wherever you are across the globe, you have access to your investment person. We also understand that every client, and this is one of the major differentiation what Assetmonk is trying to create. Probably I'll try to spend some time over here. We understand that every finger is different. And similarly, every client is different when it comes to the amount of risk what he or she can take, the amount of returns what he or she is looking, or the reason as to why a person is investing. So we have products across 3 different risk categories. One is a high risk, low risk, and a medium risk, or things like that. Now, when it comes to a high risk product, basically these are products which we call it as a value appreciation product. These are early stage investments where you invest now, and the risk, obviously the risk which comes to it is very, very high, because these are non-RERA or in very early stage, anything could happen. So the returns what you make is something which is is unbelievable over here. The kind of risk what you take is the kind of returns what you make. We also know that there are clients who don't want to take any kind of risk. And that is where fractional ownership comes into play. I don't want to delve into fractional ownership. We all know about it, where a small amount of money goes towards owning a large commercial real estate. The third thing is a medium risk, medium return kind of a product, which is also a short term. No one wants to say, if a client wants to, does not want to lock in money for say 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, but then wants to earn a decent kind of return, which is 15% and above. Now, a short-term return fund is something what we talk about, where all these are asset-backed, it is safe, plus a trustee is everything what we talk about. So the returns are medium plus, 15 plus kind of return. The risk what you take is again medium. The term of the product will be around between 2 to 4 years kind over here. Now let's look at the asset cycle. I would not want to take too much of a time here. The assets get, we find X amount of, we find a certain real estate which is good, and we want to bring it to our client. So that, that is something what we call it as asset scouting. Out of, the history shows, for every 20 properties what we see, one gets selected, right? So that's the kind of due diligence what we go through. Now, due diligence is something what which I will delve about in the future slides, which is very important. The third is asset listing. So once the due diligence is done and we believe that the product is fantastic and can be taken to our clients, it gets listed on our website, and we also take it to our channel partners. And then the investors come in, and then the money gets pooled and gets invested. And at the end of the term, the money comes back to the client. So this basically is the asset life cycle. Now, what I would want to talk about is due diligence, right? Now, typically when an investor wants to buy a product for himself or a piece of real estate, everyone does their set of due diligence, which is legal part. If the papers are proper, if the location is proper, everything is something what people do. But where people, do falter to a large extent is tenancy due diligence, right? We need to understand that till the time tenant is there in that property is, till when I keep money, I keep making money on a monthly basis. So it is important to understand why this tenant will continue for the next 3, 5, 8 years in this property. What are the reasons he will continue? What are the reasons he may not continue? And what happens if he goes off? Right? So those kind of tenancy due diligence, what we do. Plus, we also try and create structures. It could be in the form of an SPV. It could be form of a debenture structure, which are tax efficient, which unfortunately or fortunately is not available for an individual investor to create. Right? So these are the kind of due diligence process what we bring to our client. Now, what are the investor benefits? As we already saw, there is a dashboard which we talk about. All the documents related to the property are a part of your dashboard. So which means wherever you are across the globe, and if you are connected to the internet, basically you have access to the documents of all the properties. Plus, there is an annual valuation of all these properties. So you exactly know you invested 100 rupees. What is the current value of that property today? Right? And online tracking, ground support, 24 hours tracking, for your tax filing, downloading receipts is something what comes along with it. Just to give you a snapshot, this is how your dashboard looks like. On the left hand side, it's dashboard and how much you have invested, which are the properties you have invested, what are the average returns, invested amount, current value, and things like that. On the right hand, on the middle part, you will see the live deals, as in the new products which are coming in. So there are a whole host of things which are available over here, which you get an access as soon as you become our investors. Now, it is also important to understand if Assetmonk has grown, to 155 crores of AUM in the last 2.5 years. It is obviously not possible, single-handedly. So we work with a lot of, channel partners, and all these channel partners are at the background. These are not visible to our investors, but just to name few of them, many of the names are something which you already know. But then there are 2 or 3 names which I want to take it out over here to make you understand what kind of safety net we want to create to our investors. Obviously, PwC is something what I don't want to talk about because we all know about PwC. But one I would want to talk about is Fox and Mandel. Fox and Mandel are our legal advisors. They are the guys who do our due diligence. And why it is important is they are India's one of the leading advocate company, specifically when it comes to property investments. Right? That is something which is important. I'll come to it why. The second thing is we deal with IDBI Bank for our trustee services. So all the assets what we procure basically is with the trustee services, as in the assets are held by IDBI as a trustee. Now, why this is important is if you look at Fox and Mandel, who are our legal advisors, as well as IDBI, who are a trustee, they are larger than us as we speak today. And why this is important is when they are larger than me, I have to listen to what they say. They will not listen to what I have to tell. Right? So if they say that this due diligence is not proper, you can't go ahead. I can't say no. Is there some way we can circumvent it. Right? So I have to go ahead with what these guys say. So in a legal due diligence as well as trustee services, I have ensured that I have chosen partners who are larger than me. In fact, they have offices in more number of cities than I work in currently. Right? So these are my channel partners. Now let's try and understand who are the people behind the concept of Assetmonk. So Prithvi Reddy is the co-founder and the CEO. Ex-IIMC and BITS Bilani, has around 15 years plus kind of experience, has worked in education sector, and he also has a couple of other startups, which also includes 3D manufacturing per se. So he has he's the brain behind the Assetmonk as a concept, and he's the lighting force behind Assetmonk. And then you might see my photo as well. I come with 18 years of work ex in financial services. I head the sales for India as well as the US. So we have a team in the US as well, which does something very similar for our clients who want to invest in US dollars and take back the money in US dollars. And there are other departments. It could be marketing or finance or the head of products, including the dashboard. Everything is created internally, right? We don't have an agency which where there could be leakage of data or whatever it is. Everything is built internally. So whatever you see and get a feel of Assetmonk is something what we have curated internally. Now let's also see some of the media which is covered. We have been covered widely across India. It could be Business Line, it could be Telangana, it could be in various other cities per se. The Financial Express as well as the normal newspapers or the press have covered us to a very large extent. Now, with this as a background, let me talk to you about one such product what I would want to discuss about today. A product which is a very short term, a 3-year kind of a product, gives you an IRR of 17% over 3 years, right? At a time when SBI or a Kotak or any other bank is giving you an FD return between 6.5%. And we all know that the rates are going up. So obviously it might go up to 7.5%, 8% at max over the next couple of years. But currently I have a product which we have curated, which is already giving you a 17% kind of an IRR, right? As I said, all these products are asset backed, which means there is a security. Now I give you, so when I say 17% IRR, what do? I pay you coupon of 3% every quarter, which works out to 12% per annum. I pay this for 3 years, 3% every quarter for the next 3 years. And at the end of the term, I pay you additional 5% along with your principal amount. And that's where it works out to a 17% IRR for our clients. Now, IDBI again is the trustee. Now, you will also be glad to know for every 100 rupees I am raising from you today, I take 150 rupees worth land as security from the person who is taking this money, right? So which basically means tomorrow if that real estate company goes for a toss or something bad or untoward happens, there is a land which is there as security, not of 100 rupees, but of 150 rupees. You invested 100, there is a 150 rupee of worth of land which is there as security, which can be sold by IDBI trustee and your money returned back to you. So in terms of safety net, we have created, so even we all know that long term the land prices go up, but short term obviously there could be variations. We understand that. So even if the land price falls by 33%, which is very difficult to happen, even if that were to happen, your 100 rupees is fully protected by the kind of security security net what we have created for our investors. Sorry, so this is how the product would work, where investors come in, it goes into the structured debenture over here, it gets invested in the project, and at the end of 3 years, the money comes back to the investors. Now let's try and understand what kind of money you make over the next 3 years. Just excuse me. I'm sorry. So this is an illustration for an investment of 10 lakh rupees. So that is what you can see here, investment of minus 10 over here. So the amounts are shown in lakhs. So for every 10 lakhs you invest, every quarter you make 30,000 rupees for the next 12 quarters, right? Which is basically 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, the additional 5% what I spoke about, you will see it in the fixed redemption, where for every 10 lakhs, you make 1.51 lakhs as a fixed premium or the additional 5%. So basically 10 lakhs invested, you 30,000 rupees at the end of every quarter And at the end of the term, you will get back 11,81,000 rupees, including your principal person, right? So this is what this product is all about. And this is where probably I would want to stop if there are any doubts. And after this, I will take another 5 or 10 minutes where I will also talk about first of a kind investment, which no individual investor in India had got an opportunity to invest in. So with this, I end my presentation, and any questions over here, we'll take it and then go to the next product. There's no presentation, hardly I'll take a couple of minutes to talk and explain to you how it works, but then post the Q&A session over here. So thank you for patient listening.
All right. So, Upendra, now I'm going to be playing the devil's advocate. You'll suddenly see,
Please.
you know, even though we've had multiple calls, now we'll have a very different side of me where I'm going to be asking you as a very, let's say, watchful investor, right? First question is, now when I see this, if I put 10 lakhs over a span of 3 years, I'm looking at getting 1,80,000 rupees as a profit, right? Now, how are you saying this at 17%? Because on the very first slide or the second slide, you mentioned you're getting a 9% yield, but you're getting a 17% IRR. So
12%.
Sorry. I know the answer, but because, like I said, you know, before we started this call, we will have investors across a very varied spectrum, which some understand these terminologies and don't understand these terminologies. So let's explain this in a manner that is easy without any jargons.
Sure, perfect. So basically, the 1,81,000 what you said comes along with the principal. Right. This 1,81,000 basically is the 5% additional, you know, the additional return what I'm talking about. Right. Apart from that, I'm also paying 30,000 rupees on a quarterly basis.
Right.
Right. So 30,000 into 12, which is 3.6 lakhs. Right.
Right.
3.6 lakhs plus 1.81 lakhs.
Right.
Is something what my clients will make over a span of 3 years.
Okay. So let me
on an investment.
Yeah, so this is on the NCD piece, right? So I get it. What you're saying is, right now, I put 10 lakhs. If I take this at 12%, because we're doing 15% towards the end, if I take it at 12%, my numbers are 12% on 10 lakhs is 1,20,000 rupees. 1,20,000 divided by 4, because it's each quarter, I get 30,000 rupees coming in, and that continues for the next how many ever quarters, which is 12 quarters. And at the end of the 12th quarter, alongside with my 30,000, I will get the additional 1.5 odd lakhs, right? And that's how I get these numbers. Obviously, this is with the TDS deduction of 10%, because Big Brother has to get his money first. Now, with that said, can you please go to the very first, I think the second slide. Could you go to the second slide for me, please?
Sure.
Is this okay? Can you go to the next one? Okay, right here. So you see that we have a 9% average yield. I know the answer again. And you're saying a 19.5% IRR. What is the difference between the two?
Right. Thanks for this question, Sharath. Average
I'm not
yield,
taking credit. I'm actually, a lot of folks.
No, I understand. Many of the questions would have come from the clients. So through you, I would want to thank the clients. What I mean by average yield is the rental yield, what my clients have got. You know, it could also be, like say, let's take an example of NCD, where they get 12% per annum for the next 3 years plus additional 5%.
Correct.
Same way, the rental yield over here has been on an average 9% for my investors, and including capital appreciation, the IRR has been 19.5% to our investors.
Understood. So for all of you who had this question, now just to give this quick breakup, right? Assetmonk has 3 separate products. One is meant for the ultra HNIs, where we're talking about, 20-25 crore kind of an investment. The other investment comes into a category which all of us are aware of today, with multiple other players in this market, is the fractional ownership purely in the commercial space. And Assetmonk is doing nothing different except for how it's been done in terms of due diligence, value add, etc., etc. But from a concept standpoint, it is invested in commercial properties, which is tech parks, IT parks. You're talking about warehousing and data centers, and a couple of those things other than hospitals and education institutions and things of that sort, right? So this is where you get fractional ownership, where you get a fixed rental yield coming in because of the money that is being paid by the tenants of that property, and then whatever capital appreciation comes in 3 years, 5 years, or whatever timeline that we're talking about. We are not going to focus on that is because I do not want our money to go in there for two reasons. One, the ticket size is at 25 lakhs and above, and more so with fractional ownership. The experience for most families has not been very bad because of the horror stories that have come previously of various other players. So to make things simple, an instrument that is one, a low ticket, and something that you have observed very closely for me, what is important is return of capital and how easily that money is going to come in, and the flexibility of putting smaller amounts of money so we can diversify this into multiple assets. Now, obviously, Upendra is representing Assetmonk, and he will have a vested interest in saying that we can collect as large a check with one institute. But that's not my preference, right? We have core portfolio, we have the satellite portfolio, and from the satellite portfolio, we would like to see no more than 20% of our money goes in satellites, and Assetmonk belongs to the satellite portfolio, not the core portfolio. Even though NCDs are something that has been in the markets for how many ever years, one, it's not regulated, right? They are governed by laws for the private limited company again. So there is no regulator as such. Like, again, for some of you, at the risk of repeating, SEBI is a regulator for mutual funds and stocks. Insurance, you have IRDA. But as far as NCDs are concerned, we don't have a regulator. So how I define core versus satellite, one of the easiest ways, if there is no regulator for that instrument, then that comes under a satellite portfolio. Right? So that's it. I hope that that answered the question for the families that asked this question. Right? Now, that is one. You also mentioned about a couple of things on the trustee piece, right? So from a layman's standpoint, Upendra, why is the trustee important? How are they, why will they not, like, we all know what happened in the 2008 crisis, right? And how these credit rating agencies went about giving rating A or for a bond that was basically junk, right? So what is holding back a trustee to not be arm twisted by Assetmonk or have to fudge the numbers, or I mean, why should they do the right thing? Let's put it that way.
Perfect. Thanks again. A fantastic question. Any question where you ask about the safety net, I'm predominantly happy, because as an investor, I am a risk-averse investor as well. So trust me, I'm very happy. So thanks for the question. So what does a trustee do? Trustee basically, by definition, looks at the the benefit, or is basically a trustworthy guy of the investor. So that's the whole definition. Now, what does the trustee do over here? Now, on a regular basis, he has no job. On a quarterly basis, he looks if my investors are getting money on time, XYZ, and things like that. And at the end of the term, have they got their money? The trustee's actual job comes into play only when the investors are not getting their money on time or have not got their money on time. So what does a trustee do basically? Now, it is very similar. Like, say, let's assume that I'm taking a home loan. Now, what is the security for the bank? Basically, that land or the apartment, whatever it is, that is the security. If I don't pay my EMI, that land or that apartment is sold, and the bank gets back its money.
Yes.
The trustee does something very similar. Now, what is happening over here is a builder XYZ is raising money for his own construction or working capital or whatever reasons it could be. Right. So he is assuring his investors XYZ returns. Right. So that's how a NCD is created. Now, if he's paying his money, then absolutely no one has a problem. The only problem comes, what if the company shuts down, or if he's not able to pay money?
You're referring to the real estate, the person who borrowed the money, which is the real estate. Okay.
Yeah, basically the borrower who is, he shuts down his business, or he has a malice intent. That also is a possibility that he does not want to pay up. Right. So what basically we do is, as I said, for every 100 rupees, I take 150 rupees worth of land. What I basically mean is, say he's raising, say in this NCD, he's raising 10 crores. So which basically, what I'm doing is, in the land what he owns, out of the land bank what he has, I make a valuation. I have a valuation report which says that XYZ land is currently valued at 15 crores.
Right.
So I take that, all the documents related to that land, I take it, And once this 10 crores come to me, I raise it. This land is basically mortgaged to IDBI. It is mortgage. You can actually see it in encumbrance certificate. You can go to the registrar, sub-registrar and see that, it is mortgage. If it is digitally available, in fact, it will be available in our client's platform. All this mortgage document, document, all these documents are available for our clients to see. Now, let's assume that, there is a malice intent or the builder is not paying back the money. The land is already mortgaged to IDBI, which means that builder cannot sell it to anyone else because you can see it in sub-registrar. So the whole idea of a trustee is, you are not paying back the money. What I will do is I will give you a warning. If you still don't pay back, I'm selling this land, and the money which is coming out of this land goes to my investors. Right. So that is what a job of trustee. So basically, he's a third party guy.
So
I'm
a watchdog.
One is a watchdog. One is a watchdog. Basically, second, if I am a Labrador, he basically is, say, a Rottweiler. So what I mean to say is he is powerful than me. He is larger than me. He's stronger than me, which means I cannot arm twist him. I can probably wag my tail. That's the best what I can do. I cannot do anything in front of a Rottweiler. That is basically what a trustee is all about. Yeah. So that's the primary difference.
Got it. Now, while we understand that a trustee is an independent body that is brought onto the table to ensure that the payments are going on time and the conditions of the term sheet is well followed. Now, my question is, why should a trustee act in interest of the investors? What is stopping? I mean, there can always be a misintent that, hey, you know what? Okay, let's have this arrangement and let's make sure that, let's keep things brushed under the carpet. So my intent, in other words, is why should the trustee act in interest of the investors?
Yeah. Right. So basically, if you look at the trustee services, you can Google it, it's no rocket science. The trustee services come under the purview of the regulator. Now, this is what his job is, in terms of managing the trust of the clients, who are investing.
Right.
Now, this is his job. Now, at any point, trustee does not do his job. Basically, people can go to the regulator, who in turn will arm twist the trustee to do his job. Right. So even if, let's assume that, Assetmonk is hand in glove with IDBI, and I'm very sure that day will never come. But even assuming, 1% chance that, it happens every day, there is a regulator who is sitting for trustee services, who, based on a client or a complaint from a client, will ensure that the trustee does his job, what he's entitled for. In fact, if you go to his AOA and MOA, every company has an AOA and MOA, right? So his basic job is of trustee services. So IDBI Bank has a separate division for called IDBI Trustee Services. The main work of this company is to work like a trustee for any kind of company. They can work with anyone, right? So that's their job.
Okay. One more question on the trustee piece again. The reason there is so many questions, because see, I'll tell you what, Upendra. Now, a good majority of my family is going to be reinvesting money that they invested with another NCD, right? Fortunately, again, zero defaults and things, money was coming on time. And now here we are talking the company, that company was a startup. That's a different story, right? But this company is the real estate. Now, when it comes to real estate, although Indians have an insatiable diet when it comes to real estate, but when you're investing it through a paper-based instrument, it suddenly seems like, hey, you know what? I don't have the ownership. And then we have various reasons why we tend to be wary of these kind of instruments. So my point is, yes, you got 150% as you got a 150% collateral, right? So a 50% extra. Now, the trustee is not in the business of real estate buying or selling. Okay, how soon and what is the kind of proceedings? Because I know we've not had any defaults just as yet, but who's seen tomorrow? So my question is, tomorrow if the trustee, I mean, in case there is a default that happens, right? It's not, I mean, where I'm going with this is, how is the dilution process? Because I don't think that's an expertise that the trustee has.
Well, I would beg to differ with you. So a trustee services basically is set up to create a trust for the investors. It could be in the field of real estate, it could be in the field of pharmacy, pharmaceuticals, it could be in it could be in any field what they deal with. Now, when you talk of a large organization like IDBI, obviously you will see it as one single umbrella. So let's take bank itself, IDBI as a bank. Now they lend money to real estate guys, they lend money to employees like me, they lend money to entrepreneurs like you, they lend money to employers, employees like. So basically what I'm trying to tell is, there are people who try and evaluate what needs to be done. Like say, even if you go to IDBI to take a home loan, or they will only give you 80% of the value what you want. Now, how is that 80% determined? It is determined basically on the valuation.
Correct.
Right? Which basically means IDBI has a team behind which does the valuation. You might not meet them, you might not know they exist, but at the back end they exist. Otherwise, if they don't know, what kind of trustee services they need to do for X amount of sector, they better not get in there, because then the regulator will push them to do their work, but they will not be able to do. They will actually lose their their name, their relationship, and their license.
Understood. So let me rephrase this in another manner then. Let's say a case of default happens. Okay. How soon are we talking about? So because see, we've talked about a three-year NCD, right? Let's say till the 27th month, 33rd month, everything's going fine. 36th month, we are not able to get the money for whatever reasons. Now, from that time, from the case of default, how long a timeline are we talking about before the investors get the money after a default case is gone through?
See, typically, let's assume that there is a default. Then what happens is IDBI, gives a warning, and then talks about selling the land. We all know that selling a parcel of land will take time. I'm not saying that it's gonna, today is the default, tomorrow you're gonna get your money.
Right.
There will be a time lag between 4 to 6 months where the land is sold and our investors get back the money. Now, obviously, there will be a time lag. And that's the reason why I spoke about this product as a medium risk.
Understood.
So basically we have taken a security as 150%. Even then, if the company were to default, there is a time limit that instead of 3 years, it becomes 3.5 years. Right.
Understood.
So that is a medium kind of risk. And how are we offsetting it? For every risk you take, there is a additional return. Ideally, at least statistically, what you should make, that comes through the IRR. You remember the 5% what you're going to get at the end of the term.
Right.
This is that risk premium what you're going to get.
Right.
So that is how the whole product has been designed.
So I asked this in a very elaborated manner. So ladies and gentlemen on this call, the reason why I brought this out this way is because while it is backed, and when you say it is asset backed, right? Anything and everything that you hold, it is protected with the money that we are going to be investing. The risk, the downside, the only downside or the most important downside out here is your money, the capital, when it was supposed to be said it will come back here, it is going to come back after some point in time. That's the risk that we're taking. And this is the case with any form of real estate, because I'm yet to see any developer, whatever the name is, Cat A, Cat B, okay, whoever it is, has delivered a project on time. There is one or the other reason why, and by default as investors, we've understood that if it's a real estate deal, be prepared for a 6 month to a 12-month delay, if not more. Okay. However, I'm saying that this is not what you need to expect. Keep in mind, plan your cash flow like if you're planning an investment, they could be, while it's not happened. Upendra, I'm sure you're privy to a lot of data at the position that you are. So can you tell me how many NCDs has Assetmonk launched so far?
Yes. So as we spoke about managing 180, 150 plus kind of an AUM, almost around 65-70 crores of AUM comes through NCD. And let me also give you, so all this time we have been talking of what if something goes wrong. Let me also give you a data point about what has gone right already, right?
Okay.
In 2019, 2020, we launched our first product that has already matured and the payment has gone to the investors on time. And I don't have to tell this on this webinar. My only request is, people, if you could like Assetmonk on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever. There is a video which is coming yesterday from my own investor, who is a senior guy working for Amazon. He has given his own experience, what he has found, where he has got back not only the interest but also his principal. And this is the first product in the industry, fractional ownership industry, which has got matured and payment has come on time. First time in the, this is the first maturity for the whole industry. And we have proved to the industry and to our clients that good experiences investing in real estate is possible, right? That is one thing. The second thing,
I'm going to share a separate bill for you for having to get social media marketing or reach. That's a different story for another day. But Upendra, on the angle of risk, right? So we are saying that you have not, as a company, even though you have raised a good 65 odd percentage from the NCD route. Now, obviously, the NCDs need to be backed. You all are a platform. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to highlight, Assetmonk is a platform just like all the other products that have come in very recently. This is not a company that goes about doing the transactions. They enable these transactions. So, Upendra, I need you to talk to my audience in terms of who is the parent company. Give us a little backdrop around that, because a good majority of my audience are at very senior positions in their respective fields, and they are sooner or later they will be crossing paths. So let us quickly dwell into who the parent companies, how it got started, and so on and so forth, and what is the legacy of that company, because it's important, since all these issues are going to your parent company for that matter, right? So could you please walk us through on that?
Sure. So basically, Assetmonk is a company which has an investee company called Incor. Incor is a real estate firm based at Hyderabad. They are not only into real estate, they are into hospitals. So there is a hospital called Omni Hospital. It's a group, a chain of hospitals. So that is owned by Incor. We are into hospitality. So we also have a co-living which is available through a brand called Boston Living. So that does our what do you call the hospitality sector as well. We are also got ourselves into pharma, life sciences per se. The company is already available, and shortly you'll be able to see the first product available through life sciences. So the life science is what you see. So yeah, so these are the things which are available. So if you look at the balance sheet of the company, it is more than 700 crores. And this is a year-old data what we're talking about. So if you look at the journey, so the Surya, the gentleman on the left-hand side, basically he does not belong to real estate. Typically when you talk of real estate, it is usually that my father had a company or my grandfather, or it's a family business and things like that. That is not the case with Incor. The founder of this company, Incor, Mr. Surya, basically was a techie based in the US. In 2007, he sold his company and then came to India and then started, Incor as a business. And that is the reason why, apart from real estate, you will also see he being in financial services, he being in hospitals, he being in hospitality, and the whole kind of thing. In fact, whenever you are in Hyderabad, you get a chance to meet Mr. Surya, you will see a difference compared to any other real estate guys probably you have spoken to, because of the pedigree, because of the history where he has worked in. He's more of an ex-corporate guy, like most of us over here, and the whole idea comes from there. In fact, most of the guys who are there, whether be it a part of Assetmonk or whether be it a part of Incor per se, most of the guys do not have a backing of family real estate. Most of them have been an employee somewhere, including me. As I said, 18 years of my life, I've sold financial products, right? And today I come, I represent Assetmonk for one reason, as one main reason, as to we convert a real estate into a financial product, right? So that's the whole idea of Assetmonk, and that's exactly what we do over here. And that's exactly is the pedigree where you will be investing.
All right, good to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've made a record today. 12 o'clock, 1 hour. FAQs are also done. So these are from my side. I'm open to take questions from the participants. If there is anything that you'd like to ask, please either raise your digital hand or unmute your line or voice it out in the chat box. Okay. Either this has been a very boring presentation, either you all have understood everything and it is over met expectation, or probably we've discussed everything that needs to be discussed. What is the case?
There could be a third dimension that probably people need some time to chew on this and then come back.
I get the message very clearly, Armin. Thank you. Sorry, Ravi, you've got your hand raised. Would you want to unmute your line and share your question, please? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So one question I had was, regarding, let's say, IDBI who has all these rights to go and sell. So does that really happen, or does I just after giving one warning that, okay, you are kind of defaulting and then we will just go ahead and sell, or does it still have to go through a legal process where eventually IDBI has to get a go ahead from the court before disposing it off, and then investors get the money back?
So
because when we look at this 6 months time period that we are talking about, if it has to go through a court proceeding, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
And that is why, if you notice, Ravi, just so taking parallels from the home loan example, right? Banker will send in notice 1, 2, and 3. After that, it is going for auction. Court doesn't get involved. Why? Because you already signed. You get to the court when you want to dispute it. Now, depending on how big and what is the intent of the person who's raised the money, who's borrowed the money, this could probably get extended. So whenever you're hearing a pitch from a company, that is the information that is shared. And then we are all wise enough to say, okay, you know what, let's put another 20 to 30% plus or minus. Okay, I'm saying this on a call where Upendra, or you've seen, it generally happens where we're doing it. So the point is, if you're looking at secured returns, this is not a product to look at. In fact, anything other than what is Maidan Mein Utro now. This is another thing, right? We're all seeing the ads that are coming, get onto the field. Point being, nothing except the sovereign bonds of the country, which is Government of India bond, is secure. Because your money put in the bank also, if the bank shuts down, for example, yes, bank. Unfortunately, so far, even though there have been a few scam against bank, depositors have not lost money because of the regulatory system being pretty in favor of customers, right? So therefore it's good. But technically speaking, if a bank goes belly up, how much of your deposits are protected? To the tune of 3 lakh rupees. To the tune of 3 lakhs, whether it is 50,000, 50 crores. Money that is protected is 50%. Now, why am I saying this? For most of us, this is the practice, and that's why we are of the opinion, if you put your money in a bank, the money will come back. If that's the intent of how we're going to be investing in this, I'd suggest give it a pass completely. However, we already,
I understand the risk, but all I'm trying to understand is, once IDBI has this letter signed and gives these 2-3 warnings, whatever it is, do they have every right to go and sell it, or should it still go through a court? That is my
100%.
question.
100% instant. It's just like how, that's why the parallels of a home loan.
Okay, understood.
You don't get, because this is all, and better yet, Pravi, see, just like everything, now, unfortunately, we don't have the time and bandwidth to go through all these terminologies mentioned in the term sheet. But Upendra, why don't you do this? Can you open one of those term sheets and show us while we are addressing the rest of the questions, please? So, Ravi, the point is, all of this is already mentioned, like we did it previously in the NCDs that we did, right? It tells that this and this happens, then these are the procedures, and there is no court proceeding. There is no permission required from the court to initiate the proceeding. If the issuer, for some reason, puts a stay or whatever it is, then the process will get a little delayed. So you're talking about, I'm telling this on a recorded line, anywhere between 6 to 12 months of a delay in cash flows.
In fact, as we speak, as soon as we raise the money, raising the money, the asset or the security is already mortgaged to IDBI. It is not done post facto at the time of 3 years or whenever there is a default. So the asset is already mortgaged to IDBI, which basically means anytime there is a default, they can give the 3 warning letters or issue letters, whatever you want to call them, and then go ahead auctioning them. There is no requirement for a court proceeding or whatever it is, because it is a loan. It is a secured loan. Basically, for a loan, you're given a security, you're not paying back your loan, you can actually go ahead and sell the security and then get it back. Now, the reason why I said you might need 6 months is not because of this notice. It is primarily because IDBI also will need time to sell that piece of land, right? It's not that you go for auction, someone will come with 10 crores check and then give you money. So obviously they will need time, and that's the reason why I said you might need 6 months. But anyway, Sharath has improved the timeline to 12 months, so I am also happy. I'm sure it's everything is under the purpose.
The audience they're well averse with this now. By default, they know if this is it, we keep 20%, because whether you like it or not, we are part of a regulatory system that gives us that kind. See, even in a structured product, right? In a regulated product, we had so many debt instruments default. Eventually, the money came back, right? It made all a halagulla, but when the money came back, there was no media press or headlines around it. But it added to the insecurities for most investors, in spite of all these branding and things going on. That said, we now know this. Raju, you have a question. Would you want to unmute your line and ask a question, please?
Yeah, thanks. I have 2 questions,
yes.
Upendra. One is that the window of 12 quarters or 3 years, once you say that, we know that in a real estate, definitely, as Sharath mentioned, buffer period will be there 6 or 12 months. But when we touch that point, if we don't see that the project is ready to really get the returns, and then how that the average,
all the money come back.
One is average, one is the money will come back after 3 years or 4 years, but the same commitment will follow for the next 12 months or the 3-4 quarters, or how it happens? That's the first question.
Right.
The second one, you mentioned about that every 100 rupees you invest 1.5 times, 150 rupees attached to the some land parcel. Where that land comes from? See, anyone raise the fund to really build the asset. One is the wherever the real estate they build, one is the land parcel cost, they would have bought that, or the joint development. You raise the capital to build the infrastructure, which requires maybe 200% or 1.5 times. Then you see the returns and the appreciation and the marketing strategy. Where the money will come, whose land will be giving assurance the 1.5 times in the event of the project doesn't go?
Very nice question.
Good question. Thank you, Mr. Raju. So let me take your first question first. So now the 3 years timeline, what I'm talking about, is not linked to any X project, right? No, it does not mean that X building or a X project will be completed, they will sell it and then they'll give your money. That is not the intent of an NCD over here. Now, why does a real estate company require money? So there are 2 things what a real estate company requires on a regular basis. One is a land parcel, second is funds. Now, these funds are required, one, to buy extra land to continue the existing project. It could be working capital, it could be business expansion, it could be various things. So any project, so the money what they're raising is not linked to any X project. This project will be constructed, this will be sold, and then my investors will get back the money. That is not the way it is done. It is linked to a company. Company requires X amount of money for 2-3 reasons what we discussed. It could be buying additional parcel of land. It could be it could be for working capital. It could be for X amount of X project, whatever it is. Now, the company uses it for whatever reasons and then pays it back along with the interest. So it is not linked to any project per se. So whether X project even goes for a toss, it does not matter. It is nowhere linked to X project per se. Now, when it comes to the security per se, let me share you this screen and show you the what do you call that? The term sheet. Hold on. Can you see my screen by any chance? No, right?
No. So Upendra, you might have to go about sharing screen instead of sharing window.
Yes. Yes. Now is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now let me show you the debenture trustee. What you see it here, IDBI trusteeship trusteeship limited. So those are this one, and this, see, this is the utilization of proceeds, Mr. Raju, what we were talking about. It could be for purchasing an apartment or any other real estate, or for day-to-day basis. Now, this is the second question. In fact, your questions are in serial order in the term sheet. So this is the security what we were talking about. So the NCD subscribed to the debenture holder will be secured by a mortgage of over 11 square yards of land for outstanding NCD, which means for every 1 lakh rupees of your investment, 11 square yards of land will be there as security. And where is this security piece of land? It belongs to Incor Chennai, the same company which is raising money. Incor Chennai Projects Private Limited, survey number 1402, blah blah, whatever it is. And it is there in Tamil Nadu, all the address is there. And along with that, the security will also have access to internal roads within the project. And it also says the issuer will require to maintain a security cover equivalent to 1.5 times borrowed amount during the entire tenure of the debenture. Now, it is possible that the borrower is planning to raise money for 3 years. It is possible that he will give you back the money in 2 years, or 2.5 years, or 1.5 years. But whenever he gives, and that is maximum 3 years, less than 3 years, and more than 1 year. So let's assume that he pays you back at the end of 1 year, 1 month. He still has to give you 17% IRR totally. Right? Then the calculations will change, the amount what you receive will change, but then he has to ensure that 17% IRR is something what he has to give you. Right? So it is not related to any project. So even if a project does well, does not do well, stops for some reason, irrespective of that, the security is there. And this is the term sheet, sir, what you will sign. Right? And this is what the company also will sign. So there is already, this is a pre-signed thing which are already there for your perusal. So the company's sign is already there. So the company is signing, and you will also sign this term. So you will basically sign 2 or 3 things. One is an application form where I take your details like your name, address, phone number, XYZ, bank details, etc. And this term sheet is actually the contract between you and the borrower. Right? All these things is something what you will see on your portal. And along with this, you will also see the mortgage deed. First, at the end of the term, you will see your debenture certificates on your portal. Post that, it will take a month or so, because it also has to get registered in sub-registrar office. It will take a month or so. And after that, you will also see the mortgage deed, what is there between Incor and IDBI trustee services on your website. As in, when I say website, your personal, on your user ID, password, the dashboard person.
All right. Amit, I see that you had raised your hand for a bit. I'll take your question in just now. For everybody else who's having questions around taxation and things, simple, marginal taxation. Whatever payout you're getting is an interest income. And like we already know it, if there is a fixed number that comes in right up front, then it's going to be marginal taxation, which means it is dependent on tax slab. Needless to mention, if you have members in the family who are earning at a lower tax bracket, it makes sense that we do this investment in their name, right? Remember, what we're going to be doing different, very different from last time around, because in some of the NCDs or CCDs that we were collecting 15%, for a good 6 months, 7 months, the interest came and we didn't even realize that money went. So now going forward, what we're going to do is, because most of us don't need that money, if you need the money, we will get on a call separately. That's a different story. But when we do that, I am going to be initiating a reinvestment of these payouts, so that after 3 years, when we look at it, you're not just looking at a 17%, but you're looking at least at a 20-22% for that same money thing that has been invested. How that is going to happen? It's very simple. For most of you who have gone through the NCD route, and for the monies that have gone in for a 5-year commitment, the fund that we've opted has already delivered about 12% CAGR returns. All right. So it can definitely be done as long as we. So before we invest, we are going to be very clear whether we want to consume the interest in the interest payouts, or we want to make that interest payouts also continue growing up for us as well. right? So Mayur, if I see you are on this call, I'm sure you're going to be talking about a post-tax return equity is still better. Yes, it certainly is. But given with the number of things that you've already seen, right, we are going to be seeing a lot of volatility. And if you're getting 15% or 17% asset backed, right, from a fixed income standpoint, that is phenomenal, right? So let's understand very carefully, although this is a satellite portfolio, the money that we're looking at blocking here is the money that you don't need for the next, how many years? Not 3, 4 years, right? We have to keep the buffer time as well. So we're talking about 4 years, right? So that is that. Amit, you lowered your hand. Was the question answered, or you have a question?
Look, a couple of them, they got answered. One of the question was, who are we going to get into the agreement with, whether it is Assetmonk or the Incor? So it got addressed when Upendra had shared the agreement. The other question I have is, what's the amount that we are talking here? What's the ticket size that we are talking here? Is that the illustration amount itself that is going to be 10 lakh itself is kind of we are looking at?
Yes, unfortunately, Amit, the ticket size is 10 lakhs. But I have been talking. Unfortunately, this is one company I've not been able to, put a little bit of muscle power. But depending on what numbers we're talking, I'm hoping it can come down to 5. But there is no assurance just as yet, Amit, because the entire NCD structure, the term sheet is already structured. So unlike most of like ASTI, like Giraffe, these are products that are not available forever. It gets issued, it's available on the dashboard for a little while, and after 15 days, 20 days time, then the product, we have to wait for another NCD to be issued. So straightforward answer is a 10 lakh. I'm trying to work out whether we can do something for 5. It may happen this time, or it might happen in the next issuance. That's the thing that we're looking at.
Got it. One final question before I pass it on to Krishna. Upendra, how many times probably the company has got into the mode where the trustees had to be involved?
Upendra,
you're on the
mute.
Yeah, sorry. So if you look at my third slide, what I was showing you when I'm talking of 100% payout, which basically means they have only paid money to trustee services without taking their services, fortunately. And we are happy that way. So till now, we have never, we never got into a situation where we had to actually use the services of trustee services, or my investors had to use the services of trustee services. And that's how we want to keep it as well.
So in other words,
so it is basically like an airbag. We don't want the airbag to be deployed, but then airbag is available.
All right. So Upendra, what date of the month does this NCD payout happen? Because you've mentioned that it is not even a day's delay. So I'd like to know that piece.
It happens on or before 15th of every month, every quarter.
Irrespective whether it's a working day, not working day, and all of that.
Yeah.
I'm just holding you on record. Anyways, that's it. KK, I think you have a question. Please unmute your line.
Yes, sir, Sharatha. I just wanted to ask, is this the only instrument we are going to engage with for now, or are the other instruments of Assetmonk going to be also exposed next?
Okay, I took this question completely different. Here's the thing. From an NCD standpoint, Assetmonk is my preferred partner with compared to all the other players there for more reasons than one, KK. They have another instrument, but that, from the way I see for my investors and my risk consideration, okay, is not a good fit for me, for reasons being the investment starts at a 37 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, there are certain pros and cons of it that we'll take it on another date. I mean, you know what? We still have some time. So, Upendra, we can, for folks who want to be a part of that call, let them be. We will talk about that quickly in 10 minutes. But KK, of all the 3 products that that Assetmonk has got, we will be looking at the NCD for ease of convenience, short returns coming in, and that coming in a mildly aggressive format, not from the fractional ownership. Because in a fractional ownership, the minimum ticket size is at 25 lakhs. I don't want to get there. I want to get there with smaller tickets because we can look at multiple such products. Yes. Now, will this be the only NCD? No, the answer is not. They keep coming up with NCDs once every 3 months or 4 months time. Again, if you already have an NCD with Assetmonk, I will not have you invest one more tranche with them. That money comes only, you get a further investment only after you got your money in the first place, again, from a risk mitigation standpoint.
Okay, thanks.
Was I able to answer that question?
Yes, thanks.
Awesome, great. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sorry, one follow-up question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that every quarterly what we get is a what is
Interest.
it, 3% or?
Yes.
3%.
3%. That 3% will get reinvested or that will not get reinvested? No.
It comes into your bank accounts.
It will be a direct credit to your bank account, Raju. And just like what we did with the NCDs as well, there will be a follow-up question saying, would you want to go about reinvesting this?
Okay.
Because see, the NCDs that we were doing before, at 10 lakhs, it is 11,000 after TDS. If it's 5 lakhs, it's 5,000 rupees. Now, for most of my families, 5,000 rupees is one outing. And if it comes to the primary account, then that money is not even there. So after 1 year, Sharath, what happened to the 15%? So I'm forcefully going to be sucking that money out of the account so that we can see a meaningful number at the end of 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Any other questions?
Sir.
Upendra, while, let me ask you this question. I think it's important. You said you have an AUM of 150 crores and growing right now. Out of this, we've got 80 CR being in the NCDs. What about the remaining 70 CR?
Right. So again, so I'll take a couple of minutes to talk about the first of a kind investment avenue, what we spoke about, the 37 lakhs, 40 lakhs investment. But just as a idea is what I plan to talk, and probably we can have one more session to talk about this product at length. For the first time in the history of individual investors, we at Assetmonk have gotten a product which gives an access to our investors to invest in aerocities. Right now, we all know that Delhi has an aerocity, and Hyderabad is coming out with one aerocity. GMR is developing 1,500 acres of aerocity in Hyderabad, including Terminal 2, which is coming up. Now, in that 1,500 acres, GMR has subcontracted Incor again, right? A guy like GMR subcontracting it to Incor to over 5 acres to build a co-living, right? A co-living basically is like an apartment structure where in one apartment there are 2 or 3 people who stay. It's like plug and play. Someone coming from a different city, stays there. Except the only thing you need to bring is your clothes. Rest everything from bed to everything is ready over there. Now, the why this is important. Now, in a city like Hyderabad, and especially in aerocity, where almost around 250 million square feet of office space is also being built by GMR. There are people who would want a safe place to stay, a convenient place to stay, which is close to their office. Plus, the airlines as an industry, there are people, it could be pilots, it could be stewardess, it could be, the air hostess who work, 24 hours. So airlines also need to put in their employees in a safe place. Now, a co-living is something, obviously the tie-ups are in place with a lot of, the airlines as well, where people can come and stay. Now, what is the investment opportunity we are giving to our clients? We are building 202 units of co-living apartments. Now, you can own one of the apartments over there. You can own one of the co-living apartments. Everything is managed by Assetmonk and Boston Living, which is again a hospitality partner of Incor. For to own this one unit, it costs around 40 lakhs. We will come up to the price when we when you come to that presentation. So obviously, the construction has just started. It takes time to construct. So what we are doing to our investors is over next 12 years, I assure you 8% interest on a monthly basis again. 8% interest on 40 lakhs for the next 12 years.
So Upendra, I think the message was not 8% paid out monthly. It's 8% per annum. Okay, per annum, so some of you thought it is 8% per month. No. 8% coming per annum, distributed monthly. I just wanted to make it sure. Right. Sorry.
Sure. My apologies. Thank you. 8% per annum paid on a monthly basis for the next 12 years. And from the 30, and at the end of 12 years, you get your principal back of 40 lakhs. So usually what happens in any investment, once you get your principal back, the product ceases to exist. But that is again a differentiation what we have brought here. At the end of 12 years, you get your principal back. And from the 13th year, whatever is the overall revenue, what that co-living makes, 31% of it comes to our investors as income. Right? So the total IRR working to around 14 to 15% to our investors. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is you invest 40 lakhs today, whatever, we'll, during the presentation, we'll talk about the numbers. For the next 45 years, you've ensured your monthly income. It is more like a product which creates a passive income for you, whether I continue to work or not, whether there is a recession or not, irrespective of the interest rate scenario, I've ensured that my income is
Upendra, thank you very much. I have to stop you there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, see, these calls are done purely from an understanding perspective so that you all get to hear from somebody else apart from Sharad. But with the number of years I've been doing what I've been doing, I want to make sure that we set the expectations right. Now, Upendra, here's the thing. Here's what we will do. I will run a survey with all my investors and see if this is something that they find interesting. If that happens, we'll conduct another call. However, for all of you on this call and who are going to listen to this on the recording, there is no passive income. There's just another income. Yes, it's effort. So here's the thing. Let's put simple numbers, right? 40 lakhs invested, you will get 8%. 8% on your money coming in every single month, paid out every month, but annum is, it's 8% per annum. This is going to go on till 8 years. After 8 years, you get your money back. Anuj, now you've turned on your video. I'm assuming it's real estate. Sorry, I'll take this out somewhere. But with that said, 8% comes after 8 years, the money comes back to you. First point.
12 years.
Sorry, my bad. After 12 years, your money comes back to you. First thing. From the 13th year onwards, whatever amount of revenue, not profits, revenue that the company makes, you get 31% share according to your investment done in the project. 40 lakhs entitles you for roughly around a 500 square feet property that you're going to be owning. And this shared revenue will come to you all the way till 2068, which is a good 46 odd years, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, if you ever thought real estate can go about giving me passive income and things of that sort, from a commercial standpoint, it's not happening. It's only going to happen from a commercial, from a capital gain standpoint. So here you got your money back, and after getting your money back, you will continue to get revenues coming in. Now there is a slight tax advantage here, which I don't want to talk on this call because we have remarkably completed everything within 90 minutes. I will run out a survey with all of you to check, because I know your liquidity positions. I don't know if I should mention this or not, but the Assetmonk team is trying to do this with a loan possibility as well. So there might be some numbers which we'll get to know as and when this is structured with a few of the banking partners. But at this point in time, it is at a 40 lakh investment. I know this is the liquidity that's not available with everybody, and therefore I didn't want to have this covered, which is a preferred instrument of mine. If you're asking me, will I put my money there? Absolutely not, simply because of the fact 8% doesn't excite me. I know how to make 15 and 20% in 5 years' time, 8%. But for those of us who wanted to have some kind of money going for our parents as a regular start of income coming in, or our parents going about putting some money in a underperforming insurance plan, to say the least, and then make this for their grandchildren and things of that sort, all of this can be worked out. This is an alternative. Is it a wealth creation product? I would not say it's a wealth creation product. No, it's a savings product on steroids. Let's put it that way. So with that, I'll put an end to it. Sorry, Upendra, I had to take your thunder there. But when you said passive income, that is a word that can get the antennas up, and I want to make sure that the expectations are curtailed. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, any other questions at all? Anything else, Rob? All righty then. I think we've done a remarkable job with completing 9 minutes. I'm very proud.
On time.
This has not happened. Upendra, by the way, the regular process is we have an introduction call, then there's a clarification call. So net, we're talking about 2.5 hours. I'm very glad that this happened. So presentation. Next time, folks, needless to mention, please share feedback in terms of how do you like this new structure. Recordings will be given. Give us about 2 or 3 days time. to have my rational email going out. So with that said, have a lovely weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I know India is out of the World Cup, but I think we can still cheer for our Indian Prime Minister of the UK. So with that said, have a lovely evening, good day, and talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.